Philipp Grubauer has cleared waivers, and there's one scene from The Matrix that really just keeps playing in my head. Not like this. Not like this.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks as always for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. It is a game day, and I will have a more regular game day episode. But as you can tell, there is a lot to break down when it comes to Philipp Grubauer. I gave you some of his stats, not great. Money puck again, showing that at least, goals saved against expected. He's dead last in the NHL. So I'm not surprised from some of that why this is happening. Why it's happening now, because this is not something new. Well, actually, I think that we heard a little bit from Dan Bilesma. He says, this is not just a one snapshot thing. This has been, he talked about kind of the last 10 games or so trying to make this determination. But also, he knows, as well as everybody on that team, and we'll hear from Adam Larsson again as well. This is Philipp Grubauer, and that's why I read the first comment that I read, not only because it was literally at the top, but is this scapegoating? Is this making an example of Philipp Grubauer? Is this sending a message? Yes. Yes, it is. That is what we heard from Dan Bilesma.
Yeah, I mean, good defense could make your goalie look good, and I thought we even last night or the other night really kind of left him out to dry there in a couple of goals. So I don't think he's the one to blame on those. There's for sure some holes on our defensive side of things, and yeah, I mean, we're all responsible how this season have gone so far, and yeah,
it is sending a message. It's just one we have to receive the right way. I think he said ultimately it's a team game, and we all bear responsibility in the team game, and so it's it's a message we're going to receive, and we have to find a way to react to it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, good defense could make your goalie look good, and I thought we even last night or the other night really kind of left him out to dry there in a couple of goals. So I don't think he's the one to blame on those. There's for sure some holes on our defensive side of things, and yeah, I mean, we're all responsible how this season have gone so far, and yeah,
it is sending a message. It's just one we have to receive the right way. I think he said ultimately it's a team game, and we all bear responsibility in the team game, and so it's it's a message we're going to receive, and we have to find a way to react to it the right way.
It's a message that we're going to receive. I mean, this is a pretty drastic message, and I went on a rant yesterday about what is it going to take for this team to get and receive and respond to all of these messages. I mean, Zame and I talked about that. Again, Zame he's on a little bit of a break right now, but hope to get him back. But we talked about this. The message is only good as far as how well the message is, received and taken and moved towards action. And we keep having these extreme ups and downs with this team. So what does this mean? What is this going to look like? I think we're at least going to see Philipp Grubauer with the Coachella Valley Firebirds until, until the Four Nations break. Capo Caco is the only player impacted there. So what can we reasonably expect? Because I've already talked about it. it sounds like I loved the reporting, and it's so important, especially now. But Allison Lucan, it might have been post game a couple of games ago, but talking about how Joey Decord took time this offseason to effectively work on his stamina and being able to take on a bigger workload. He talked very, very candidly about how it just was a lot. It was a lot for him. And, also the last handful of seasons have been a lot. He's been the go-to guy for this franchise, whether it's been with Coachella Valley and now with the Seattle Kraken. And so he had to change how he was prepared, and he's done that. And we are now going to rely on him even more. Well, I've said it before. We lost Joey Dax for a few days, and we had Philipp Grubauer, Alice Stetska again. If that's our backup, he doesn't have NHL experience. Are we setting ourselves up for a really tough situation if Joey Decord gets hurt in any way, shape, or form? If he needs to be away from the team, maybe, I don't know, for any reason. How is this team set up for success? Yeah, I get it. Next man up, sure, that's one thing, but within reason. This is a glaring, gaping hole. If you didn't think so before, this is huge. It's not Joey Decord getting sent down. This is Philipp Grubauer. So what are we doing? Was my big message. How are we fixing this? And I can't answer that right now. But what I can tell you is Joey Decord is going to do Joey Decord things. The Seattle Kraken, including today's game day, we will have a game day episode today. The Seattle Kraken will play in their next 5 games, or I should say their next 4 opponents, because we play Calgary twice within the calendar of February. Our next 4 opponents: San Jose, Calgary, Detroit, Toronto. Now, I'm not incorporating Stetska's stats because his stats that he has for this season are not counted towards the Seattle Kraken goaltending average. So we're going to look at Joey Decord versus San Jose's collective stats, Calgary, Detroit, and Toronto's collective goaltending stats. And here's the good news, Seattle Kraken fans. Joey Decord statistically wins in all the categories. Joey Decord, as of today, when I'm recording, which is January 30th, it's a Thursday, he has a 2.45 goals against average and a 0.917, 0.917 save percentage. Those are Joey Decord's numbers, his averages, right? Hit OPP, not that OPP, opposition. That's what I'm referring to. Some of y'all may not get that. That's fine. Yes, that's how old I am. Anyway, the opposition. None of these teams have a better collective. Now, individually, maybe a different story, and we'll talk about that. None of these teams have a better collective average than Joey Decord has on his own. He's a top 3 goaltender, again, when we look at goals saved versus expected. So that's good news, Seattle hockey fans. We want to see him yeet the fish as one of our 3 stars. I can't imagine he won't be a star. He is a star, but he will be definitely one of the 3 stars should the Seattle Kraken get some wins, which they desperately need. But, San Jose, 888 and a 362. You've got Calgary, 898 and a 296. 892 and a 312 for Detroit, and the 900 and 288 for Toronto. So Joey Decord, in theory, is the better goaltender, numerically speaking, statistically speaking, than the teams that the Seattle Kraken are going to play. But that means that Joey Decord needs to continue doing Joey Decord things, and this Seattle Kraken team has got to step it up. They cannot leave him out to dry. They cannot put him in a situation where he gets injured. They cannot put him in a situation where he cannot see the puck. They have to score. and give him goal support. Because all of these numbers that I crunched, and again, these are very broad, basic, it doesn't factor in a million different scenarios. But Joey Decord can get us these wins. But if we don't win, it's not because of Joey Decord. Like, that should be evidently clear. Statistically speaking, of course, you have off games. We've seen Joey Decord maybe give up goals that he would want to have back, as they say. But statistically speaking, Joey Decord will get it done. It's just a matter of if the team will. And that's what also makes this hard for Philipp Grubauer, because yes, he was not always performing where we needed him to perform. What's also true is this team, the skating group in front of him, definitely was not always performing. Like a lot. And we talk about that. Not like this. It's not how I saw this going down. I am among those who have said, and trying to say so as fairly but as firmly as possible, we did need to find an off-ramp for Philipp Grubauer. For it to go down like this, it just is a little icky. It, I think, is more of an indictment on the leadership than it is on Philipp Grubauer. And to get to this point is just, what is going on with the Seattle Kraken? And we're going to have that conversation. I know there are people in my mentions who, some people even wanted to say I didn't know what I was talking about because I was questioning what was happening with the front office. Tell me now I don't know what I'm talking about. Tell me now that this is normal, that this is a front office that has a handle on the situation. Tell me that now. No way. There's no freaking way that there is not something, as I said last night, amuck. I don't know if it's, super diabolical, but we are not, this organization is not on the same page. And this team, the roster, unfortunately, for what reason I know not, but they are not motivated. They are not go-getters. You have players individually that are gamers, as we hear Dan Bilesma say, and they carry this team. And it's shifted here and there. But there are some players that, more often than not, they're mid at best. And some of them are the highest paid players on this roster. That, my friends, is an issue you have to kick up to the front office. All right. A few more comments before we get out of here, just because I really did enjoy reading y'all's comments. And I know people are, I told you Tom Buck says I'm at a loss, but again, he's like, hey, I get to see Philipp in Coachella Valley. Had a comment again, just talking about maybe adding a little bit of the numbers to what I'm saying. I forget that not everyone listens to the episodes every day, because a lot of this I've broken down for you before, but it's good feedback. Hopefully I was able to get you some of that. So thank you for that comment. This is an interesting one, and I think it's tough love, but it's probably true. Vets never held to account. Well, let me put it on the screen here for you. Vets never held to account on this team. Grubauer has been mostly dreadful for 4 years. Burakovsky is floating around most nights. Larsson has lost more than a step. Tanev should be gone, easily replaced by a cheaper Ryan Winterton, just in case you don't know who Winterton is. Yet they keep running these guys out there and give their 21-year-old future 12.5 minutes per game. Francis has to go. I mean, listen, you're not wrong. This is in regard to yesterday's episode or, today's episode. There's whole lines that have given up on playing. It's minimal effort. Yikes, that's hard to read and hear. Minimal effort. And I can't disagree with it. It's minimal effort and it hurts to watch. On the plus side, some of these players are about to leave for good before the trade deadline. I'm still unsure about the coaching staff. Why is it that Kakko is playing beautifully and complimenting the coaching staff? Surely he wouldn't do that if the staff was bad. And why is it that their line shows up every game, but others don't? Talking about the Beniers line, which has been fantastic. Matty Beniers centering Jaden Schwartz and Kaapo Kakko now. I'm still not convinced it's coaching. I'm with you. I'm not convinced it's coaching. I have to at least mention it. I have to at least mention it. But for me, this is not the variable that we need to be focused on. Anyway, comment goes on to say, I think it's an attitude problem. And as much as I think Grubauer was going to be bought out this offseason, this stings. He wasn't the reason we lost to Anaheim. The score would have been much higher without some of his sequential saves. And to do it while his mom is visiting from Germany, ooh, ice face emoji. Is that what it would be called? Ice face? I don't know. Just, ooh. I actually feel sorry for him. And this after a year of thinking we need to move on. Sigh. I know, fam. I know. None of us feel great about this because we've talked about this before. Philipp Grubauer is polarizing to this Seattle Kraken fan base. And the fact that people are getting behind him because of how this went down. I mean, you see it in sports all the time. We've seen it in the NHL. I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury, right? He's about to end his career, and we've seen it with him. Just people being like, wow, you kind of did him dirty. This feels a little icky. It feels a little icky. So how is this team, how is this front office going to handle it moving forward? Because it's the ball's in your court, right? Puck's on your stick, bud. The front office has to fix this. This is a mess. This is a mess. And sure, you can say, oh, this is going to be motivating. This is a message, you know. What is the message? What is the message? I will give Ron Francis the benefit of the doubt. Everything that I've ever heard from him, that even when I'm asking him questions, he does communicate things. So to the extent that Philipp Grubauer knew this was a possibility, I don't know that. Dan Bylsma alluded to that this was a conversation ongoing for at least the last 10 games. But to whom was he communicating that? And how much, like, when did Philipp Grubauer find out that this was a possibility? And he said in his comments that there was a conversation. Ron Francis talked to Philipp Grubauer, and that conversation will remain private. If I know a thing or two about Philipp Grubauer, he's not going to say anything about that conversation. So we may never know. I will give Ron Francis and the front office the benefit of the doubt that they did have that conversation. This is surprising, but I don't know that they cut him, at the legs, so to speak. It's a phrase, a manner of speaking. I don't think that they completely blindsided him. I hope I'm right about that. It doesn't, in my opinion, make it less kind of gut-wrenching. And there's like a hurt hard space, as a women's basketball player sometimes says. Courtney Vandersloot from Washington, from the state of Washington. This doesn't feel great. And you know what? It's still not enough. And maybe that's the part that hurts the most. That this is not enough. We're putting a guy and his reputation, his career in a really tough spot. And I still don't think we have any answers. And even more painful and frustrating, downright frustrating, is I don't think we have any intention of making the moves required to be a better hockey team. I don't know how much can be done for this season, but there are things we can do now to move in a better direction for the future, and those things have not happened. It's one thing to be conservative. It's another thing to be asleep at the wheel. And I'm thinking it's a little bit closer to asleep at the wheel than just being conservative. And for what reason, I don't know. What's going on? What is going on? All right. This turned into a little bit of a rant at the end. But again, thank you for all of you who commented. Continue to comment on this video. We'll have the game day video, which is more of just, hey, what do the Kraken need to do as a team, putting aside the Philipp Grubauer stuff? And you best believe we'll be keeping up. We haven't really caught up with the Coachella Valley Firebirds. There's just been so much happening with Seattle, but this is a really good reason for me now to incorporate a little bit more Coachella Valley into the daily episodes. Hey, life is tough. Work, it is performance-based. I agree with Dan Bylsma on that. I also agree with him and Adam Larsson that these are people. effectively, I'm summarizing what I got from their comments. These are people that you get to know. You get to know their families, and it makes it tough. The human element makes it tough. So be kind to yourself. This is a tough one. Be kind to others, even, when you have to move on for business reasons. You can do it in a way that's, not so yucky. And hey, it's a game day, so we got to hold fast. We got to stay true and loud and proud. We say, even as we try to figure out what's going on, we say, let's go Kraken. I'll catch you on the game day episode. This should take you over to that. Enjoy the game, whether you're going to be at CPA or you're watching and or listening at home. I hope you enjoy, and we will catch you on the next episode. Peace out, everybody.